survival can be a matter of life and death, and in some cases, even the best plans go horribly wrong. Today, we're diving into 10 of the most insane survival fails that prove just how dangerous nature can be. Number 10. The wrong kind of shelter disaster. When you're in the wild, shelter is your number one priority. But what happens when you choose the wrong location? Take this guy. He thought a nice little patch of land by the river was the perfect spot for his shelter. But guess what? The river was prone to flash floods. He woke up the next morning in the middle of a swamp. The lesson: always check the surroundings before setting up camp. Number 9. The lost in your own backyard. Blunder. This one's for the overconfident explorers. A hiker in the Appalachian Mountains got lost after he thought he knew the trail, like the back of his hand. He even bragged to his friends about how he could navigate without a map. Spoiler alert, he couldn't. After spending hours walking in circles, he had to be rescued by a search team. Don't underestimate the wilderness, folks, even if you think you've got it all figured out. Number 8. The bear baiting fail. Everyone knows to keep your food sealed up tight, but one hiker in Alaska thought he could befriend the wildlife. He set up some bait to attract a bear for a closer look. Big mistake. Not only did the bear take the bait, it also took his tent. And the hiker, well, he had to spend the night in a tree, where he was still not safe from the bear. Moral of the story: never, ever try to play with bears. Number 7. The I'm gonna swim across snafu. Sometimes survival situations call for quick decisions, but rushing things can lead to big problems. This person thought they could swim across a fast-flowing river. No problem. But with the current stronger than anticipated, they nearly drowned before realizing the smarter move was a rope bridge downstream. Always assess the situation before jumping in. Literally. Number 6. The unprepared for cold survival fail. In the wild, hypothermia is a real threat, and this guy found that out the hard way. On a winter hiking trip, he thought he could handle the cold with just a light jacket. Fast forward to him shivering uncontrollably in sub-zero temperatures, with no fire, no shelter, and no backup clothing. Lucky for him, another hiker found him just in time, but it was a wake-up call for everyone. Never underestimate the cold. Number 5. The wrong gear catastrophe. Survival gear is everything. And sometimes it's the one thing you don't have right. This guy packed a fancy knife that looked great on Instagram, but wasn't fit for real survival tasks. When he needed it to chop firewood, it snapped in half. Instead of a multi-tool, he brought a toy tool. Be sure you're packing smart gear, not just what looks cool. Number 4. The overconfident fire starter. Fail. Starting a fire can be a lifesaver, but sometimes it can turn into your worst nightmare. This guy tried to make a fire in the forest with a lighter and no experience. Within minutes, his little spark turned into a massive blaze. The fire got so out of hand, it required a full emergency response to control it. Moral of the story: always know what you're doing before lighting the match. Number 3. The don't drink that water fiasco. Water is essential, but in the wild, it's not always as clean as it looks. One adventurer made the fatal mistake of drinking straight from a stream without filtering or boiling it first. The result? A severe case of giardia, leaving him weak and dehydrated. Always purify water before drinking, even if it looks crystal clear. Number 2. The firearm fail survival horror. In a survival situation, a firearm can be your best friend, unless you don't know how to use it properly. This hunter's gun jammed when he needed it most, leaving him completely exposed to a predator. Thankfully, he managed to escape, but it's a stark reminder: always practice with your weapon before taking it into the wild. Number 1. The stranded with no plan nightmare. Last, but certainly not least, we've got the ultimate survival fail: being stranded with no plan at all. A group of adventurers set out for a multi-day hike without a proper map, no backup plan, and minimal supplies. After a wrong turn, they ended up lost, and the situation quickly turned life-threatening. They were rescued after several days, but not before the entire group had to face extreme dehydration and exhaustion. If you're not prepared, your adventure can quickly become a life-or-death situation,